thoughts, because if you own a business or you have a family, you know that the brain just is going nonstop all the time. Here's that happiness, that peace, my thinking place. I usually find an empty picnic table in the shade down by the water and listen to the water crash against the rocks and think through things, big, small. Well, here we go, guys. First episode of Barber on the Bars. Ride along with me. We go talk about business, life, the good, the bad, the ugly of business ownership, being father, being a husband. It's going to be a good ride. Very raw, very unedited, very unscripted. Barber on the Bars, a little bit about me. I'm Scott Barber. And the bars, well, obviously we're on a motorcycle, so we're going to keep it real and probably talk about some hot topics that most people just won't talk about. That's the unfortunate side of business ownership, is until you talk to other business owners, you feel like you're drowning all by yourself, and then you talk to other people and you quickly realize that couldn't be further from the truth. That's the world. That's business ownership. Always feeling like you're failing. That's fatherhood. Always feeling like you could do better. And being a husband's the same way. You always know deep down, or feel deep down, that there's one little thing you could do better. And this is where I go find my peace. This motorcycle is therapy for me. I think most guys who ride, they jump on the bike and they feel better. Everything feels better. All of the stress, the worries, kind of just slump off your shoulders for the 10, 20, 30 hours, whatever it is you decide to go ride. It takes about 5 minutes on two wheels for me to be in a completely different mind frame. It's where I go to think. It's calm. I'm able to tackle one problem at a time, think through one issue at a time. Maybe not tackle it, but at least give it the thought, give it some time, and truly think about it instead of the 9 million things going on all the time. And my favorite place to go is where we're headed today. It's my thinking place. It's just outside of town where I live, and it's where I go when I got something big and I need peace and happiness surrounding me. So that's what we're going to be doing. A little bit about me. I run 2 businesses. I have a automotive repair facility and a detail shop. I have 2 boys, a beautiful wife, and we're just taking it day by day and trying to live in the moment as much as possible. Just had a pretty large health scare. Ended up in the hospital for a couple of days, had a minor stroke, and it really put life into perspective for me. And all of those moments of feeling failure and feeling like I could have done better, wishing I would have been more present, all just kind of flashed before my eyes, all, over the course of 2 days while I was laid up in a hospital bed waiting for answers, which I still don't have. I didn't have use of my left hand. My clutch hand was gone for 24 hours, and both my businesses require the use of my hands. So just kind of watch it all flash, and it really put it into perspective, what's important and what's not. And so for the last 2 weeks, I've made drastic changes in the businesses, in my life, in my presence, and overall feel like a whole different person. You know, the businesses were never about making money. They were about that freedom of time, so I thought. They were about being able to be present and making my own schedule and calling all the shots. I thought that was, you know, what I was going to get. Instead, I became tied down. I became dependent on my own self and my ability to provide, and that really shifted perspective the last 2 weeks. I care a lot differently about a lot different things, and so it's been refreshing, eye-opening, and really overall just better for me. You know, I think things happen for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. And I think that this happened to require, you know, to force me to slow down and stop and just enjoy the moment, because you never know when the last moment's going to be. You never know when life's going to change forever. And so this is that moment. We won't be doing much of any editing. This is just going to be raw, real. You know, as I said, I own 2 businesses. I have 2 boys and a wife, and I don't have time for editing footage and dialing it in and making it perfect and flashy. And I want it to just be real. You know, it's I'm going to try and do it as much in one take as possible. I may break it up a little bit, but just to kill the silence and the thoughts, because if you own a business or you have a family, you know that the brain just is going nonstop all the time. You know, here's that happiness, that peace, my thinking place. I usually find an empty picnic table in the shade down by the water and listen to the water crash against the rocks and think through things, big, small, mostly big. The small ones are mostly resolved on the bike, but the bigger ones, you know, sometimes I've just got to go sit out and find that table and just give it all up for a little bit. You know, there's very little cell phone reception, so there's no distractions. You can kind of just get away from the day-to-day and think through whatever it is that's going on. I think we probably all have that thing that we do or that place that we go that we're able to process life and what's going on. If you don't, I highly suggest you find that, whatever it is. You know, I do a lot of walking as well and find a lot of clarity in those walks, you know. But when the opportunity arises, I hop on the motorcycle and go log some miles and come out to my thinking place. This is kind of truly where all of the stresses just you know, the weight's just lifted from those stresses, and I'm able to just process. You know, I bring my kids out here for the same reason. They ride with me. My wife's on the motorcycle now. She gets on her own all the time now, and that's really cool to see. And I'm sure I'll include some footage of that type of stuff in some of these videos as B-roll or something, where I'm out riding with her. Probably won't do much vlogging with her. We like to communicate and talk while we ride, because it's kind of our time to just get together and go do something we both enjoy, and all at the same time, you know, be able to have thoughtful conversations. So, you know, that's kind of the introduction. You know, it's going to be raw. I'm going to stumble. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to use the wrong words in places, and correct myself, of course, most of the time. But I'm just here to be real, to be raw, talk about those things that you just don't see. Social media has portrayed all of those things as just excellent and set unreasonable expectations in everybody's head of what that looks like. You know, being a father, being a husband, being a business owner, what success looks like, what success doesn't look like. And so we're gonna keep it real. We're gonna talk about, you know, business struggles, business wins, life wins, family wins, kid wins. You know, I won't be sharing my kids, very, very little, if at all. We'll talk about them, I'm sure. But my youngest has lots of hot takes and thoughts that, you know, he's raw, real, and unedited, and unfiltered thoughts just fly out of him. And sometimes those are the most real things I hear in a day. So we'll be kind of all over the place here, but at the end of the day, I'm a real dude out living a real life with all the real struggles that everybody faces, and for whatever reason society has decided we don't talk about those things. We only talk about the positives. We don't post about the bad stuff. We don't share the bad stuff with people, and it's all real. It all happens. You know, we all have those moments of struggle and self-doubt, you know, disappointment in ourselves for the way we handled something or did something, or maybe the way we didn't handle something or didn't do something that we needed to. And that just wears on us. You know, there's no fighting it. It's real life. And so we're here to talk about it all. I'd love to hear thoughts, comments in the comments about topics that maybe you're curious on my hot take about, or that you're going through. You know, I want this to be a safe environment for people to go and vent and you know, maybe have a topic discussed that they're dealing with and they're struggling with in life right now. You know, that we do a video on, or, you know, go do a vlog on. Very undecided on the content, you know, what we're going to do, if it's always going to be on the motorcycle, or if we're going to do some, you know, shots, videos in a seated position, camera on face, things like that. But it's going to all be real. I know I've said it a million times at this point, but that's the most important part to me, is the real, the raw. And hopefully you guys are in for it. You know, we'll go do some fast stuff and surely get some videos and B-roll. You know, I'll try to keep it tame in the videos themselves while I'm doing the talking, because the bike's loud and I don't want to have to yell or drown out that, you know, try to talk over the exhaust. But I hope that you know, that kind of tells you a little bit about the show, the vlog. What I'm hoping to do is just have a place to go talk, you know, to talk about the struggles, and maybe it'll help somebody, maybe it won't, you know, maybe nobody will catch it, maybe nobody will ever see them. But the hope is that we're able to to put out some content that people can resonate with, or that resonates with people, that people get. So we're riding my 2008 Hayabusa. Was the dream bike for years and years and years, and finally made it happen 3 years ago. And it's been just what I needed in life as I go on the journey. I've been in business for 6 years with my detail business, just over a year with the repair facility, and boy, have they been different experiences. I'm not a wrench. I'm not a mechanic, so I've had to rely on employees. Employees are a different breed. It's a different game. We've gone through some good ones. We've had a good one. We've got some bad ones. Kind of all over the place. But at the end of the day, what matters the most is we're here and we're doing it. So we'll kind of see what the journey takes us, what journey this takes us on, where this takes us. May cover some gear, may cover some, more specific bike maintenance, things like that may be going on. I'm not going to be reviewing bikes. I'm not going to be, doing any of that kind of stuff. That's not what this is for. This is just kind of a podcast where I'm just talking to myself and playing off of the comments and seeing what people think about them, and going from there. That's the ultimate goal here, is to give advice from my point of view, talk about the struggles, the positives, and we'll go from there. I know this is probably not going to be for everyone. Not everyone's gonna feel that connection, or have this content resonate with them, and that's all right. I appreciate it if you check it out, and if you like it, great. If you don't, I totally understand. This is just as much for me as it is for anybody else at this point in my life. It's kind of a legacy, if you will. Like I said, you're not promised tomorrow. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. And so you just really don't know. And if I can leave something behind that makes a difference in somebody's life at some point in the future, it's all I need. It's all that matters. So if this resonates with you, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. I plan on doing weekly videos, maybe more, probably not, but definitely no less. We'll do an upload every week. I'll get an upload schedule. It'll be the same day every week at the same time. And we may add some quick little, maybe a group ride, just something without any audio or no audio except for the mic, just what you hear from the camera while we're rolling. Do a lot of riding. Like I said, that's where I find my happiness. That true, raw happiness that comes without stress and without disappointment. So I hope that you guys stick around. Hopefully this is something that you're interested in. If not, I totally understand. It's gonna be very unpolished, but that's who I am, is unpolished. And so I don't figure there's any point in trying to change that now. So thank you guys. If you're still here, I appreciate it. I look forward to connecting with you and, hopefully making you realize that it ain't no different for you than it is for me. And just because what's portrayed on the internet looks all good and perfect in a sense is not real. 10-year-old me would dream about being out at, I don't know, whatever time it is this morning, recording a video on my motorcycle while my businesses are making money. 10-year-old me would be giddy with where 36-year-old me is today. Family, house, healthy kids. And so while I don't do well at celebrating the moment, the wins in the moment, I'm just on to the next thing. I think that's an entrepreneurial thing. I'm trying to be better about it. And when I think back like that about 10-year-old me, man, 10-year-old me would be ecstatic with who I've turned into. And I think that probably is the same for most of us. So thank you again for tuning in, for checking it out. Leave a comment, tell me what you think. I like I said, there's not going to be much production change. Maybe a camera that I'll put on the windscreen or something for a view of me while I'm talking, instead of just the same boring view, because unfortunately, living in Kansas and living in where I live in Kansas, it's not quick and simple to get to any more beautiful countryside than what we were just experiencing. So the views aren't gonna change much. They'll probably largely be the same view, just different topics and content. So leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you're interested. Turn on the notification bell. All the YouTube things, all of the things that all the YouTubers say. I don't imagine I'm gonna be some big YouTuber, but I hope that if it resonates with you, you feel inclined to leave that comment and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you in the next one.